We're out at the farm of Alex Nelson, talking about various conservation methods. We'll hear from Alex later in the show and how he has developed a food plot of sorghum. We'll also be talking about Youth Energy Summit, and we'll visit with Shelli-Kae, who is a program manager for the Youth Energy Summit, as they had an event out at Prairie Woods Environmental Learning Center not too long ago. But first we're going to tag along with Rick Reimer of the Soil and Water Conservation District of Kandiyohi County. We will visit some shoreline restoration projects that have been completed, and we'll also see some that are up and coming. I'm Dave Hillenbrand, and this is Backroad Journal.
We're a local governmental unit that was established by the state. We're really there for resource management, outreach education, provide technical help, financial assistance sometimes. Like I said, we're resource management, water, land, soil, nutrient management, shoreline restorations, rivers, streams. I mean, we cover the ground. Well, it's huge. So we've been here, the SWCD in this county's been here for over 50 years already. So again, there's 91 in the state. So I guess our niche is, I guess I keep saying, resource management, no matter what kind of resource it is, either sediment, lakes, wetlands, trees. We're huge still. We used to plant a lot of trees in the county. Yeah, City of Willmar, we did a gully restoration with the City of Willmar some years ago, and that was over by Willmar Steel over there, and that was collaborating with the city and, eliminated any erosion in the Willmar Lake. Locally, everybody's heard about Grass Lake. Well, Grass Lake pretty much started within these walls with the SWCDs and the DNRs going together, and now is expanded as big as it is, encompassing all the partners in it. But Grass Lake is a good example of the SWCDs working. The wetland restorations and native prairies are so numerous, it's hard to point them. And there's on an average of 1,000 acres of native prairie seeded down through the office in this, every summer or every spring. So it's terrific. And we used to plant up to 40 to 50,000 trees on an average every year. So again, more resource, putting the materials on the land, sometimes diversity, restoring lost systems, trying to restore even drained lake beds. Rasmus Lake is one that the office is working on. It's just multiple programs, like I said. This has probably been a wetland. The trees have grown up through it and through decades of non-use, but this has always been a wetland, and it's been a sink or a filtering situation for Ness Lake for decades. And it gets a high volume of water at times coming down through it. And then in here is a culvert which exits out underneath this road, and then you can see the disaster, what was happening with the gully and the down cutting that this was happening, bringing in sediment and other nutrients into Ness Lake. Well, I think just working with the president or the landowners that lived in Decision Hills Bible Camp, that took two to help get this project done. And then we worked with the NRCS, the federal. They jumped on this to help us solve this issue down here. So it was a real win-win deal for the lake and for the landowners. They're not going to lose any more land. The lake's not going to get any more contribution of this sediment and nutrients that were coming into this point. It's 2 years old. Well, it's probably 3 years old now. So, and you don't really know what other influences come into this area. Is it just overland water, or we didn't see any tile issues? So it's just surface water that comes. You can see down here, it's an old concrete culvert there. I mean, it's not very big. You can see some water still standing out there. Well, you can see that as it crossed under the road, you start picking up a lot of grade from this point here down toward the lake. I mean, it drops many feet, like 35 feet. And you can see that it's already starting to get undercut, and it's been a long time. You can see the trees have actually grown up within some of this channeled area. But the loss of soil was tremendous. They were, you know, many tons per year during rain events were actually getting into Ness Lake. And not even accounting for what was attached to that sediment load also into the Ness Lake down there also. You know, and then right there you can see we had a step area right there. It kind of came down. We made a small little saddle pool, and then she drops down again. Yep, a lot of the water has come down through, going through the profile, matriculating through this, and it comes out there. It's a lot cleaner because a lot of the sediment, and it, like you say, it just actually gives it one final stage, and then it just meanders its way into the lake. Mm-hmm. And you can see how stable that is now. So we had to figure out width on this and how deep it had to go to slow this velocity down. Like you say, you can look left and right here and go, this is what it was and this is what it is. I haven't been here in a couple of years, you're right. I think it's 3 years or 4 years ago. Yeah. You can see it's sloughing. Got all these volunteer trees on it, which, you know, good or bad. And he's got the timber walls here too. Now I remember it.
And get some,
you can see there too. I mean, if you walk this, you can see the clay banks are starting to be exposed on more some of these steeper slopes. It's hard to, you'd have to get there, but. And the thing about changing the vegetation, it takes some management issues on top of that. That's what Brad was spelling out.
Yeah, like I say, I think if we can remove some of the smaller, trees, and get some more herbaceous vegetation established, sedges and grasses and flowers that can have a lot deeper, more extensive root system so there's not so many bare areas of bare soil. When you get a heavy canopy or a thicker canopy of the trees and shrubs, it tends to shade out the understory, creating exposed soil and thus washing away.
And now you can see the timbers that hold the end of this are actually, you know, water's migrating, you know, rotting away that area that's holding this area too. Yeah.
Falling in, I'm gone.
Yeah. You know, even though he's got some nice rock there, this would be again what we would try to do is re-armor this rock toe, if you will, down on the bottom between where lake meets the land. We try to fortify that and just get a better slope on it for the landowner for sure. You know, the toe slope of the where the land meets the water per se is starting to erode away, but mostly through wave action, and time is taking its toll on just slope. You know, gravity takes and precipitation just all takes an effect and starts sliding down in time. And if you look at the vegetation, there's a lot of pluses and maybe more minuses on that slope there. And again, a volunteer thing coming to us asking for a little assistance. And we'll put together some plans and some ideas, and we'll also get their ideas, and some of it will be changing. Maybe they change their mowing practices from, you know, maybe a Kentucky blue type grass up to the edge of their area. Maybe you set back 10 feet of native grasses and stuff like that, and, you know, get a longer root structure and to sustain that slope, plus planting up and down on that slope. It's a tough one, though. It really is, and those are the situations we see many areas on multiple lakes in our county that are just like that. A couple of years ago, we had some grant dollars available for people to change their shoreline restoration into a bio-type deal, plant management again, putting different plant materials, different grasses and different flowers out there, native plants, again, trying to get that deep root structure. And we went there, and I know we were at the end of it, but man, in 1 year, she even said that on the lake, they could look at their shoreline and just see the vista of color on their place. He said it would just stand out. Wonderful use of dollars. In that eroding area, close to the lake like that, and you don't see anything going on to that spot anymore. It's just stable.
The buffers, what they'll do is, it's called basically a native buffer, and it's going to help capture runoff coming down the slope, slows water, captures nutrients here versus the nutrients getting into the lake, and then also to get on the front side of the curve so we don't encounter problems like some of the other sites that we might look at today where there's really dramatic erosion that happen. If we can get some vegetation established with deep roots to hold that in place and be on the front side of that before it happens, rather than coming to this site 10 years from now saying, how are we going to fix this problem?
A lot of it's plant management too, Dave. When we see it, and he does, so I see you get out there and they put the wrong stuff in. Somebody advised them the wrong stuff. Whereas that first place, we can get some better plant management, just like Brad said, to get that root structure down to help support it. This one's already got a friendly slope, as we would call it, as compared to what we have seen and what we will see. They have their challenges in themselves. Yep, and your positives for you guys don't try to drag something up your slope. I think this will be stable enough through the year that you'll be adequately good. Because I worried, I said, well, do we need to take it? Yeah. And then lay it parallel. There again, another example of 40 foot in the air, one-to-one slopes. You've got a landowner that's had their a legacy there. They've had that cabin since the 50s. And the family wants to maintain it, but now you're looking at a potential huge project. They're starting to get sloughing where they lost that, like you say, 75 plus, maybe 100-year-old oak into the lake already. They lost a smaller one, and now they're, in essence, could lose the next two that are up there for reshaping to make that a stable deal. Well, sometimes you have to, take away and reshape and make it, for that sustainability thing, make it long term, and you might have to sacrifice one of those last big oaks out there just to give them that, that sustainable type area that'll be there for their grandchildren and beyond. Their neighbor called them after these spring rains. Again, the spring rains came, and a lot of wave action at the toe slope of their area, but mostly saturation got that, and that, as you saw too, Dave, the tree just tipped completely, canopy over into the lake from top to bottom, and pretty amazing. So we're writing grants now to do just that, to help these people address these issues. Again, you said it before, Dave, it's volunteer, but if we can help offset some of those costs, if you have people that are interested to do resource, no matter what they're doing, we're all behind it. That's our goal, is we want to eliminate erosion, we want to improve our land or resource management. That's what we're about.
So right now, the goal is for you guys to find a spot. There's all kinds of great crayons, magazines that you can cut out of, and poster board. You can use one. Some of the other teams couldn't fit their past project onto one poster, so you can use two. That's fun. So use your details on your past project posters, and later we will share those, okay? Along the tables there are little templates that you can look at for all the details that are important to consider in your past project poster. Any questions? All right, let's see your fantastic posters. Let's go. Here we go.
That kind of sums up what each of them. And then we can have people blog. This about America. Oh, really? That's amazing for the eyes.
The purpose of the Youth Energy Summit is to engage youth and empower them to take positive action in their communities. And it's all centered around waste reduction, energy efficiency, renewable energy, and foods. So how can we get out and help the students, give them the support that they need to get their projects off the ground? And also we offer them some support in project seed funds. And also we have some dollars that also help support the coaches. They can come to our events, so we can provide the substitute teacher for when they leave their school, and for transportation. So that helps them out a lot. We want to help develop career skills for them, things that they can move and take with them when they leave high school, leadership skills, problem solving skills, those type of things that we really feel by giving the students the power to make decisions on the types of projects that they want, and then to see if they can actually get those going and make an impact in their community. We feel that that'll really be helpful as they become young adults and citizens of the towns that they will eventually move to and raise their families in. Every year, this is the 8th year of the Youth Energy Summit, the program, and every year there's a fall summit. And this year we had it at Prairie Woods as a kickoff for the season. This year we had over 16 teams that came to the summit, and almost 200 students and coaches. So it's an opportunity for them to network with other students, and for the coaches to network with other coaches to learn about their projects. We want them to all get together just to see the impact that they can have as a collective group. Then they go back to their communities and they'll do their projects. At the end of the season, then we'll also have a competition per region, and where their projects are, it's called a co-opetition really, and they are ranked on how they're doing with their community connections and how they are doing with waste reduction, energy efficiency, how quickly they can turn a project around, and what kind of impact they can have on whatever they've chosen to do. And the whole hallmark of the program is that it's youth-led. We don't come in and tell them, okay, you need to do X, Y, and Z by this time. We want the students to go in and assess their community, and make an assessment of their school, and then decide what they think their school or community really needs in order to be better stewards. The students that were at the Fall Summit in October learned about waste reduction, energy efficiency, renewable energy, and local food production. We had workshops that talked about planning projects, and we had students put up posters all over that would help educate other students about projects that were happening in other states, or other parts of the state. And students did a really fun game where they were able to identify their allies and their anchors, and so they can go back to their communities, find out who are their resources to help get their projects off the ground.
We dream of a world where recycling is second nature and the tummies of hogs are satisfied. Financial capacity. Marty is loaded with cash and small particles. Smarticle particles.
So you can see they had a good time with this. They came up with some clever ideas, and they were visualizing what they wanted to happen. It's really important to visualize what you want your goal to look like.
People, projects, connections that made it possible. So like people who helped us. Oh gosh, this thing.
Things to change kind of shoes.
Are you filling it out so that way we can just copy it over? Yes. I feel like just make it stand out more.
15-minute warning. 15 minutes.
I feel like we should write something.
We called it the PPP, Projects, Planning, and Posters session. And what that was is they first did a poster on past projects that they had done. So then like new students and new teams could go and look at past projects. And then we had them connect with those people and ask questions of those people, and making those students the experts in that particular type of project. And so that new students could learn about different projects. And then we had them go back and make a project poster on what they want to do, and identifying the types of people they need to connect with, what kind of resources are they going to need, and what are their goals. We also have them work with SMART goals as well.
Right, so you guys know a lot about hydration stations already, but we just put our first one in last year, and we just reached the 10,000? Yeah, 10,000 mile mark on it. And then we do a shoe drive yearly, which one of the questions was, how did you start it? Mrs. Oben got an email from a company called Green Sneakers that recycled tennis shoes. And then since then we've had to switch to Worldwear. And the purpose of it is that we're taking shoes that people normally just get rid of or toss out, and they're getting donated to people in areas of poverty, both in the US and worldwide. And then every week, all of our students get together to do recycling, which helps with raising awareness for recycling things. It lowers our landfill, like our contribution to the landfills, and then it teaches a lot of people about how to use their resources wisely.
Now is your chance to do your future project poster. Okay? So you got 20 minutes, a lot of time to go around, look at the posters, and make a future project poster.
Yes can be a really good fit for a variety of students, and one thing that we have found is that it can be an outlet for students that aren't involved in sports or the drama club. So it can be a fit for that student that doesn't really have a group that they can grab onto, because they can get involved and do an environmental project that they can see that they can be a part of the greater good, and they can make that big impact either in their school or their community. Yes can be a club, or it can be part of a class. What we have found is that if it's part of a class, it is much more successful, because then there's more resources and more time to work on the projects. And then there's also grades tied to it. So it definitely can work as the hands-on piece of a science class.
Along with our lunchroom, we, I think 2 years ago we took out all of our styrofoam trays and we got reusable plastic trays. And we're saving $50, we're $50 a head. That's just estimated.
One thing that YES provides for teams is that support and leveraging resources with other entities that we can put them in contact with, such as the University of Minnesota if you're wanting to do a landscaping project. And a lot of teams are interested in that, or lake quality for local water quality in lakes in their area. That's been really helpful. That's one of the great things about partnering with the Regional Sustainable Development Partnership and U of M, is that they have all those great resources. If you want to find out more about YES, we have a great website at youthenergysummit.com, and we keep it updated with recent blog posts, and we have a listing of what all the teams are doing and a map with where the teams are, and we have a coordinator in each of the regions right now, so you have a direct contact person that you can work with. And we encourage people to get in touch with us, because we've got funding from the Environment and Natural Resources Trust Fund, but we're looking at ways that we can really make this program sustainable. And we've held community meetings to try and rally who can be those strongholds for our teams and to keep them going, for a very long time. So we're really looking to build those networks within our local communities.
My name is Alex Nelson. I'm a Pheasants Forever Farm Bill Wildlife Biologist. I'm located in Willmar at the USDA Center, co-located with the Kandiyohi SWCD. And basically my job is private lands conservation. Basically anything a landowner can come to me if they want to do something good for habitat. My job is to find the right program for them and help them implement that. It can range from CRP to easements to working with grazing, anything that we're good conservation. I can get them to the right people that can help them if I can't do it. So we're located at my family farm. Came out here. I just want to show you guys kind of what we have set up for food plots that works pretty good. Go over some of the basics of winter cover, food plots, and getting the pheasants through the winter and with the most healthiest possible, I guess, out here. So not too much to it, but there is some definitely basics about food plots and winter cover that's really important as far as getting the hens through the winter with the highest body mass, and that results in essentially better nesting success. So this one's probably about an acre, and I have a couple spread out, but this is the easiest one to get to. Okay. Here we have about an acre worth of sorghum that I planted last spring. I like sorghum as far as it does provide a good cover for the pheasants as they're feeding. It's high energy protein grain. It provides plenty of it for the pheasants, and when it comes to the food plots, it's not necessarily the food that's as important as the location and the cover while they're in there feeding. You can see how I have this one located. It's directly adjacent to probably 30 acres of cattails, which provides that excellent winter cover for the birds. They don't have to travel very far. I wanted to create a safe pattern for them to feed, where they're not exposed to the elements. They're not going to be exposed to, you know, predators and everything else. I planted my sorghum a high rate for seed per acre. I like to get it a little thicker so I can have that winter cover. In addition, I don't use much for herbicide. I like to almost keep some of the foxtail and grasses up there. You know, and there is some ragweed in here, and if you can see, there is a few places where the velvet leaf did come in. I always want to try to control the velvet leaf and some of those weeds, but you know, you don't need to go crazy with herbicide on these, I guess, is what I always try to stress with landowners. Is it's almost like they want to go for production, you know, bushels per acre or whatever, and well, that's not the point of a food plot. So it's it's kind of you got to shift your thinking a little bit from production as far as more of a wildlife friendly, you know, the true purpose of the food plot. It's going to be very similar to, you know, your annual crop production. This will be an annual food plot. It will need to be, you know, chopped and tilled every year. There is other options as far as a perennial food plot. A lot of those will include your clovers and you know, similar such species of legumes. Those, you know, you're looking at probably a 3 to 5 year time span in between, you know, working it up and reseeding. Those will provide good browsing for, you know, say if you wanted deer or chick brood rearing, work very well for that. They're very, you know, green and lush, which brings in a lot of insects, which is very important to brood rearing and brood success, is having that food source when, you know, the chicks are, you know, pretty small yet. It's a good way. It's not necessarily, I guess, for just hunting. I don't have these in. This is not a destination for me when I come pheasant hunting. This is essentially something to get the pheasants and other wildlife through the winter in the best possible shape so they can have success the following spring in brood rearing. It does attract many different species, so you do have, you know, just opportunities to see wildlife as far as just watching them. It's, you know, overall it's a very good thing to have on the landscape. It's a good management tool. You know, maybe not the most important at times as far as the nesting cover. You don't want to go overboard with your food plots because nesting cover is going to be the number one, but it is something that we can do to, you know, increase the, you know, likelihood of good success the following spring for brood rearing. As far as farmers go, you know, somebody that's currently in production, it's going to be probably easier for them to plant, you know, the corn, soybeans. You know, many of our, you know, the local producers here are, you know, corn, soybean farmers. It's a lot easier to put in the ground if it's part of your rotation, and it just, say you leave 20 rows or whatever it is of corn in the fall, leave that standing, allow that to be used for a food plot over the winter, and if there's anything else, come back and either harvest it in the spring or chop it and plow it back under, and then you're right back into your normal rotation. You know, soybeans, very, you know, same thing. They're a little tougher as far as they fill in with snow pretty easy. Just like as far as corn rows like that, if it's not large enough, you end up just drifting in, and it makes it very difficult for the wildlife to utilize the food plot. So there is a balance on how much you want to leave in the field, and, you know, and how much you want to take out to create the right benefits. You know, the local Pheasants Forever chapter here, along with the help of the SWCD, provide corn, sorghum, soybeans pretty much every year for landowners to put in for, you know, food plots just like this. This sorghum was actually provided from the local chapter here in Kandiyohi County. So this is the seed that, you know, they, you know, free of charge for landowners. It's first come, first serve as far as, you know, what they have for supplies, but it is a good resource to have for sure, because, you know, anybody that's looked into a bag of corn seed that's $300+, it's becomes pretty restrictive as far as price to make it feasible to put one in. I like to do that with pretty much all landowners if they're willing or if they have questions. I like to meet with the landowner on site, go over what they have, maybe what they're lacking as far as a good sustainable population of pheasants, deer, you know, whatever their interest is. Definitely be willing to work with them and, you know, give them my past experiences and, you know, kind of what I've seen works across, you know, the whole county. I see many sites where the desire to, you know, create or, you know, have a good population of, say, pheasants is there, but they're just missing certain components. Maybe they're focusing on the, you know, nesting cover where they need a little more winter cover, or they could restore a wetland here to create that little more dynamic landscape that really attracts and brings in the wildlife. It's part of my job, you know, is working with landowners to advise them on anything, you know, habitat oriented like that. And it's really important. I like to show people overhead photos where I'm zoomed out quite a ways to show the, you know, the landscape picture more than somebody trying to intensively manage 40 acres. It's, if you're, you know, for example, 40 acres surrounded by cornfields, well, you don't need a food plot. There's going to be plenty of food for the wildlife. You want to create that destination for nesting, winter cover, and everything else that those adjacent fields can't provide for the wildlife. And you'll see, you know, the results show up pretty quickly when it's done right. If anybody's interested in, you know, either food plots or just overall general habitat questions, they can reach me at the USDA Service Center in Willmar, or by calling me at, you know, 320-292-6678. You can reach the rest of the people in the office through the district or NRCS. Anybody can help you there. It's the office number is 320-235-3906, extension 3, and they can get you in the right place and help you with anything you might need as far as food plots or overall habitat questions or whatever.
Backroad Journal is a production of the City of Willmar and Willmar Regional Access Channels. We hope you enjoyed the show. We'll see you next time.